discussed in the last module, in the context of globalization, we were discussing about the what the roles the CSOs are playing with respect to the problems that they have tried to focus on the interests of the either the local groups, or they are taking a interest which are like sort of like concern which is transcending national boundaries, or they are focusing on issues where maybe there is no law is still present, and that's why the how the organizations are functioning is becoming a problem, and maybe they are more trying to raise these issues and work towards things, so that ultimately what gets formed is a regulation to ultimately which gets formed is a regulation to take care of these issues and guide the future steps of the organization. So we can see like there is a changing role of CSO, business organization, interrelationship, and the role in which the business organization sees itself in its relation with the CSO, maybe from that of a charity giving through partnership, through a regulatory role, and that's how we are talking of CSOs and corporate citizenship roles. So, in the limited version, in the limited views of the corporate citizenship role, so it may be like we are focusing into the like charitable relationships, but through where the charity is taken as the community, working for the community, through the extended role when you're talking of collaborating and working towards the social problems or the issues at hand, to the formation of regulations where it may act as CSOs may act as bodies which set standards for how the organizations are going to work or not, beyond the government regulations are there, or these are extra codes of conducts required for a business to function efficiently. So that we will look under the heading of the corporate citizenship and the civil society. So when we can understand like we can understand like involvement in charitable actions is rather it is a philanthropic activity which is intended to benefit the community groups and the and other civil actors. So this activity is where in the and this is maybe one of the first step towards the association of the business organization with the civil society. So corporations have been getting involved into the philanthropic activity with the local communities, charities, and various other aspects of the civil society. So and maybe they have set up a part of the organizations, maybe a group, it's a provision which is like taking care of these philanthropic activities and charitable giving to the civil society organizations. Yes. And many of the organizations focus on these charitable giving as a part of their corporate citizenship program. So, and many organizations have made immense contribution also. So, through this program, and it is the types of involvement could be, this is a one way type of support where the communities, it benefits the communities and civil action, but it does not allow the community to, or the civil society organizations to make their voice prominent in shaping what the corporate action will be. So, the corporate defines its actions and finds out, like maybe the charitable organizations make some donations to local causes and activities, and that's get included under its charitable activities. So, these are corporate foundations to channel philanthropy. The employees could be volunteering also. So, it helps the employees in getting a meaningful, making a meaningful contribution, social contribution. Then it helps them in developing their human resources, like when these contributions are aimed towards skill development, and then it may so happen it leads to the increasing of the employee morale, and it enhances the firm's reputation, and this is a building up the social capital of the firm within the by starting to communicate with the society at large. So, it builds up the social capital of the organization by starting this communication with the society at large. But we have to understand, like, this is one way support from the organization to the civil society, which maybe helps in also reputation building of the organization, and that's why we can tell this is guided by the self interest of the organization and focuses towards the limited view of corporate citizenship, because it is the firm who selects the suitable recipients of the funding, not so much based on maybe the actual need of the community that they want to address to, but in many cases due to the brand value of the organization that they have chosen to give their funding to, which adds to their own reputation, and so which really sometimes raises questions about the business value of the community involvement, and the whether it is to add to their more to their own self interest, or it is truly because of the concern for the employee organization, that the concern that the organization has towards the society and the problems of the society that they are giving these donations for. So, we can talk of this as a having a limited view in terms of corporate citizenship. because it is not so much having the broader it's not taking up the broader role in community involvement to satisfy maybe some of the broader roles of and responsibilities, but it is restricted to its own view of enlightened self like image in terms of reputation building. So, next what we will see is the next level, where we see like the last, it is a one-way communication where the business is communicating in terms of charity giving with the organization, civil society organization, but they do not have any role in or decision making in what the organization is to do, in what the firm is to do and how, then it is not a partnership or collaboration. But when you are talking of more interactive partnership between the relations between civil society organizations and corporations, we are focusing towards business-CSO collaboration, or also sometimes called social partnership. So, social partnerships. So, this is where like the both the civil society and the firm comes together to address some of the social issues or local problems which the firm may feel like it is single-handedly it is not able to maybe address, and that is why this they enter into partnership with the civil society organizations to do its part of its responsibility to do its part of responsibility to the society, because as the expectations from the society as an important stakeholder is that the firm takes care of the social issues also, either in terms of protecting the rights or providing less harm to the human or the non-human entities. So, the drivers for the businesses engagement with the CSOs are like, it is the of course the consumers' expectations, then NGO credibility with the public at large, then need for an external challenge, then there is a cross fertilization of thinking, like how the business is thinking about the problem and maybe how the society actually is thinking about the problem, greater efficiency in resource allocation because the CSOs are expert in dealing with these type of issues and resource allocation. So, it's again desire to head off negative publicity, confrontation with the public and protect the image, and desire to engage with the stakeholders. So, and also on the benefit of the partnership from the NGO's perspective, or the CSO's perspective, could be like it is a growing interest in markets. So, because they understand like governments, it is not possible for them to give the solution to the social problems. So, if a partnership is entered with the corporates, maybe some solutions will come up to handle the social issues in a better way, and there is a need for more resources. So, then the credibility of the business with the government, because government will also understand, yes, the business is taking care of some and trying to solve certain issues which maybe the government was not able to do it, because NGOs and CSOs are mostly informal organizations formed, and credibility of business to the government is much more than the CSOs themselves. So, and cross fertilization, of course, of thinking, because CSOs may be thinking in one way, but the business can give a more structured way of thinking with alternatives. So it can provide a professional angle of doing things, and it is their access to supply chain, and of course the greater leverage that they will gain by entering into a partnership with the particular corporate. So on both the sides, these could be the leverages for the partnership to join into a social partnership to try to address certain issues of importance for the society at large. However, there could be certain limitations of the business CSO collaboration, because there could be differences. There could be differences in managing relations between such culturally diverse organizations, and there could be difficulties in ensuring consistency of performance and commitment to the goals, and it may so happen partnership may appear to mask the hostility and power imbalances between the partners. So the question of power imbalance is that it is in terms of like as if in terms of partnership we are trying to establish in the form of a discourse ethics, where a dialogue starts between two partners where both contribute towards benefit to both the parties, and then they set up a common goal and find out the issues that needs to be resolved towards it. But it may so happen like it may come out like the business partners to be more powerful than the CSOs, and due to the capital that they have in terms of size that they have and power, political and other influences. But also it is of equal importance that CSOs also need to recognize their power that they have in terms of specific knowledge, communication expertise and public credibility. So though it may so happen large companies and small CSOs may work together, and if they work together, so it could, in some cases it may happen like the CSOs are relatively influenced by the corporate interests and not by the actual beneficiaries' interest whom they are trying to address. If not, the CSOs understand their accountability towards the beneficiaries and do not feel like they are succumbed under the power of the corporate, and don't realize their own power of expertise also, and feel like even if they are smaller in size or capital, they are at equal level based on their domain knowledge, expertise and the connectivity that they have with the society and the beneficiary whose cause they are representing. So this another problem could be regarding the distribution of the benefits of the partnership. So this could be another ethical issue, as it may so happen that the benefits gets distributed between the two parties in partnership, and the actual beneficiaries, like the both the CSO and the business organizations gain reputation, strength, more members, maybe a good social capital, a good public image in case of business, and like more donors in case of CSOs, and the beneficiaries for whom they were working, the actual benefits may not percolate down to them that much, to the level that it is expected. So, that could be a problem, ethical issue in the distribution of the benefits. So, another issue in this partnership could be the CSO independence, because generally when the CSO, by the concept of it, when it is getting formed, it is acting as, it's a body which is acting as a representative for the either for the human interests or the non-human interests also, which do not find a proper representation in the corporates like frame of mind, because either they are not able to represent themselves properly, or the corporates are not ready to hear to their difficulties or their what they are expecting from the corporate. So, it is the role, the definition of that role is that of adversarial. So, rather than that of collaborative, that was the initial orientation of the civil society organization to start to collaborate with the civil business. So, from that role maybe to the changing role of being collaborative from adversarial in nature of only looking into protests about it, also acting towards maybe changing its role, shifting towards promoting the causes or helping them to helping the firms to work for the interest of the society at large or for the non-human entities at large. So, this collaborative role also, but what is more important in either of this adversarial or the collaborative role is the independence of the two bodies. But when we are talking of the collaborative partnership type of thing, it is it somewhere lessens the power of the CSOs of its position of moral independence to like talk of issues which may be and to which maybe corporates are not addressing properly. Those issues, CSOs may lose their power of moral independence to talk about these issues and pose a credible challenge to those issues. So, when you are talking of CSO and CSO independence, this becomes important. So, and it may be like you are losing its distinctive position as the third independent sector who is trying to influence the organization to follow some ethically driven practices policies, formulate ethical policies and ethically oriented practices to answer to the need of the society and to the non-human entity also. So, this interdependence, this collaboration may make the CSO lose its unique position outside the market sector. So, and if like this, it may so happen like if the CSO is collaborating with the business in one or type of activity, but the business is not able to meet the standards in other type of the problems and which are really ethical issues, the CSO may lose his like ability or to put a challenging stand, even if they are not organizations or the firms are not following the ethical practices. So, and in many cases may lead to is it possible like we are collaborating on one issue, but we are protesting on a different issue. So, if these type of things are happening, then it may lead to a type of schizophrenia, like they are friends with relations to some aspect, but foes with respect to certain aspects, and maybe being friends and foes at the same point of time. So, it becomes a very confused identity about the CSO, and may question like whom the CSO is accountable to. So, that we have already discussed in the previous discussion. Is it to the beneficiaries, is it to the donors, or is it to its newly found corporate partner? So, whom is the CSO more accountable to becomes a question. So, in these because by entering into the partnership with the corporate, they start functioning as one of the business units of the corporate who is looking into a particular problem. So, this being friend and foe at the single point of time with respect to 2-3 different issues that the corporate may be dealing with, and then like this problem of whom I am accountable to may be major challenges. Next, we will discuss the role of corporate in terms and the relationship of the corporate and the civil society in terms of civil regulation. So, actually we have seen like how some regulations of the business could be achieved by the government by formulation of certain maybe laws. In those cases where laws are not present, maybe in terms of where global laws are not there, the expectation from the government to the corporate is that of self-regulation. So, by business corporates in terms of like policing on their suppliers and even competitors, regulating each other through their industry partnership and programs. So, this will here we are trying to see into focus into the role of CSOs as a regulatory body, and we can see like the because CSOs are acting as a pressure groups, representative groups, so they can of course try to like regulate what the they have a role in regulating what the business is doing and how. So, whether through protest, boycotts, or like through various forms of collaboration, it is seen like the corporate is increasingly having the power to shape, influence, or curb business practices. So, these have been referred to as civil regulations. So, these civil regulation goes beyond than just entering into a relationship that the CSOs have with the business. So, these are focusing on not only just the relationships, but what are the outcome of these relationships. Does it lead to any positive outcome? Does it lead to any formulations of policies and practices that the businesses are expected to follow in the process of doing their business or not? So, it is evident that many of these conflicts and collaborations have led to the formations like norm creations and which have been norm creations and regarding what are the policies and what should be the practices, and these have to be like have got like its place in terms of institutionalization. So, and this is what have started governing corporate actions. So, what we can see is like the collaboration of the business houses with the civil society organizations may help in building the social and political structures that and regulations that may help to change, like understand the change and like bring in changes to for other business actors also by like going through this process of regulation formation. So, this like practices may lead to the development of a, yes, it takes time, it has a time to develop, to it's lot of like conflict, maybe debate, protests or collaboration, boycotts, different techniques which gives rise to these policies and practices. It takes time to develop, but if formed and if the organizations are following it, then it definitely has a long term value addition in terms of contributing positively to the society and to the community and to the other related entities. But it is to be very important to understand that like these codes and regulations are like, it's not sort of mandatory things to be followed like the government regulations which are there, but this is more or less the informal in nature. So, what happens is the criticism for these type of codes is that because it is not the like as mandatory, so it depends maybe on the whims of the organization also to follow these regulations or not. So, the implementation of these regulations may become the implementations of these regulations may become a problem if the business firms themselves are not voluntarily taking a membership, and then successful membership of that body requires like you follow these codes of conduct. So, even though the regulations get defined, formulated, and the practiced are stated what are the necessary practices, questions may come regarding the implementation part and the coverage for this implementation, because it depends again on the willingness of the organizations, the firms, to voluntarily opt for this implementations and certifications, because like government regulations, these are not mandatory in nature. This is desirable, but we cannot tell like these are mandatory. But yes, if we can tell it on a positive light, if these things are done by the organization, of course it helps in brand building of the organization, so that it adds to their reputation, positive publicity, like yes, we are taking care of these factors, and we are like trying to connect with the society through taking care of these activities in our business processes itself, and that how it creates the social capital and brand building, and creates a positive reputation of the organization, which is helpful for their self-interest, or which is helpful for their, definitely both ways, for the self-interest for the organization and also for the society at large. And this regulatory role that the CSOs may be having is has helped in increasing formulation of these type of codes of ethics and formal elements of rule setting, and then this has also helped immensely in maybe global situations where there have been absence of rules and regulations. So these guidelines regarding what is expected from the society and how one is going to perform if to in order, so that they are acting to in the way it is expected for them by the society at large, to take care of the environment, to take care of the needs of the people and the rights of the people, then of course it serves as a guideline to act in a global environment where maybe no rules are existing, no guidelines are existing of how to behave in a globalized situation. So that comes to their help, and these will lead to the next part of the discussion, where we are talking of the role of the civil society and business together, and how both of them together will function towards the sustainability and the taking care of the triple bottom line. That will be the next discussion in the next module. Thank you.